Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is November the 8th, 27, not November, it's December the 8th, 2017. It's the end of the year almost. Oh my God. All right. What a week it has been. Buy and hold, people. Strong hand, but it's been pretty easy to have a strong hand this week with the price going unbelievably wild. We have three guests from all around the world on today. One of them you know real well from this show. That's Ansel Lindner. He's been on many a time. But then we've got people that you know also from just being awesome legends of Twitter and TV. Rodolfo Novak is coming in from Toronto. Yeah, you know him from Twitter. At NVK. First of all their links are below. My links are below too. Get your t-shirts, get everything, your Trezor, Ledger Nano, CryptoHWWallet.com, all my sayings. Pound that like button. I'm full of slogans today. Then we have Ran, Crypto Man Ran. Yeah, you've seen me on his show before. You've seen everyone on his show before. Coming straight out of South Africa, CNBC, South Africa, Cryptotrader. He is the host of that show. Ran, welcome to the show.
Thank you, boss.
And hey, everyone, welcome to the show. So obviously, I'm pretty pumped. Bitcoin, like right now, is around $15,000, and that's a lot of money. And we started the week around about $10,000. So this has been a week of just amazing explosiveness. So we'll start it out real positive here and ask Rodolfo, what is going on? What do you see happening next? Should we calm down? And is this a correction? But is it really a correction when it drops from 17 to 15? We are in la-la land here. It is wild. Rodolfo, welcome. Take it away.
Hey, thanks for having me. So as that, I forgot his name, unfortunately. As the guy said on Twitter, Bitcoin is not a bubble, it's the pin.
Wow. You know what? I forgot to say something that I have to say. Be careful, everyone. We're not going to curse on the show because we make it family oriented, but you can say that word. But YouTube is very strict with us these days. So just keep on going, Rodolfo. Talk your street talk straight out of Toronto, but with no cursing. Go ahead.
The price is doing what it does. It goes up, it goes down. We can't predict it. It's still like, if you look at the Bitcoin price curve, it's adoption. It's not. It has nothing to do with the market. Today on the CBC News, which is our BBC, there is a family who just bought miners and they're mining their garage, and this is now the new normal. It's it's news about Bitcoin. And people are buying in. People want their part in this new economy. People don't want to be taken for a ride by central banks anymore. They want their savings to go somewhere. And it's aside from the news of the Bitcoin futures coming in product next week, I think we're in pretty solid ground here.
Well, so CBC is they're as mainstream as it gets up there. So it seems like mainstream throughout the entire world is now talking about it. So is it bubble? Do you feel it's a bubble? Do you? Some people.
No, it's not a bubble. Not a bubble. We're gonna definitely get a few corrections as we did for the last 8 years. Every little bit that goes up, it goes down a little bit more, and then we go up again. It's just that's the mechanism of like a true free market. Price discovery is not pretty.
No,
it's not pretty.
I think the difference between the situation that we had a few years ago and the situation that we have had today is a few years ago we had a small community buying up a small number of coins. I think we have 16.5 or 17 million coins today, and I think that we talk about whether we are in mainstream, and today everyone that I speak to, today I went to get a doctor's check, and the nurse came up to me and she said to me, "You crypto man, Ran," I bought Bitcoin. So if we think that the masses have not yet started buying Bitcoin, I think we need to think again. I think we have entered the first stage of mainstream penetration. And I think that the imminent launch of both futures next week is what caused everyone to say, let's get in before the futures come on. Let's get in. And that's what caused this price to get up to where it got to.
Yeah, but I do think the price going wild got even more people to get. There was a FOMO. There was a fear of missing out. So you're saying on the streets of Johannesburg, you're here. People are talking about. You're being recognized now. I mean that's
I'm
amazing.
being recognized. Yeah, people. The people that are least likely to be buying Bitcoin are buying Bitcoin. The people that look after our cars, we have a very high theft rate of motor vehicles, and the guys that look after our cars, who typically don't have bank accounts, are trading Bitcoin.
You're saying
we have penetration.
Those dudes with the orange vest on the streets that like motion you in to park. I always notice those guys. It's quite odd. It's like wherever you park on the streets, people are like, those guys know Bitcoin even now.
Those guys are trading Bitcoin. those guys will accept Bitcoin.
This is, and they don't say they need Bcash. They say they want Bitcoin. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting use case there. Hey, but by the way, we're going to get to Ansel in 1 second. In the chat, we got a lot of guys. Tor, my main man out of Los Angeles, just sent $5 on the super chat. Thank you very much. Any of you guys in the chat, if you want to do a super chat and ask these guys questions, because this is a very unique, awesome panel, please do the super chat. I'll get there. We will answer questions. Okay, Ansel. Are they talking about it on the streets where you are? Are you aware of this futures FUD that might be going on next week? Some people are trying to FUD us out about the futures. So what do you think's going on?
Well, first off, this is an honor to be on this panel. I mean, these guys, legends in the space, do so much for Bitcoin. Adam, I think you have done one of the biggest jobs in Bitcoin over the last year. You've been very instrumental in this where we're at today, and you made a lot of people a lot of money. So thank you for that, and thank you for having me on. Yeah, I think that this is real demand. I don't see it on the streets where I live, Midwest US, but I think it's real demand. I think the futures market, so the market makers that want to come into this futures market, they have to have some sort of hedge when they're making all of their contracts. So I think they have come in and started buying, so they can have a lower basis on their coins. I think this is still going higher, but the SIBO is done. I think they're kind of done buying. We might see a little bit next week from CME market makers that they start buying, and we'll repeat it again for NASDAQ. And Japan has just now announced one of their stock markets over there is going to have futures. So we're going to keep seeing these market makers come in and try to buy up this Bitcoin. It's going to repeat and repeat. But yeah, I think it's real solid demand, no bubble in sight.
All right, Rand, you mentioned before the show, are you a little concerned about this futures? You think there's going to be a drop when we hit this next week and the week after?
Yeah, so I mean, look, it's a theory. I'm not saying that I'm liquidating my Bitcoin, although I must say that I did sell some last night in the frenzy, last night in the frenzy, I sold a couple of Bitcoins. So for me, the reason why I think this is going to happen is because up until now, we've been a very small community of people maintaining the price. And how we maintain the price is, we love our Bitcoins and we hold our Bitcoins and we never let our Bitcoins go. And when we do, we make sure we buy them back immediately afterwards. But now you're going to get a whole flow of people who in the past haven't been able to buy or sell Bitcoin because of their mandates. And you're now giving them an opportunity to buy or sell Bitcoin. And I believe that there is a theory that says that there are more non-believers than believers out there. And when you open it up to an efficient market, and there are more non-believers than believers out there, it could push the price down. Remember, the price has been kept up because a bunch of people, probably 400,000 people or 500,000 people, have been buying Bitcoin because they want to hold Bitcoin. That's going to change when you open this up to the whole world, to all the institutions, to all the pension funds, to all the government, all the government institutions. They're now going to have a platform to buy or to short Bitcoin. And it is a concern.
Well, I will say this: us strong handers, we've been maintaining this price, and we've been through this roller coaster. Remember, Rand is a crypto trader, so I'm not saying to do what he said to do. Remember, he said he sells, he buys, he does all those things. I just sit with it. I hang on to it with my strong hand, but you can do what you want to do. We give everyone a chance to say their opinion. And Rand is going to talk about some altcoins later too. I gotta ask you about that. Rodolfo, what do you have to say about what Rand said there? Is there a chance that we're going to get a lot of sellers coming next week?
I don't. Well, most of the big holders that I know, they sort of took a little bit of profit to, buy houses or do things, and but nobody's really letting go of their stash, and I mean the main thing is, you can short Bitcoin as much as you want on the futures, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to find the market again to liquidate those shorts, and all this funds, they're not going to have the real asset to do that, and it's going to become a problem, and it's going to find its price again. I just don't think that there is enough there for the price to really take a massive dive. I think it's going to be just fine. And as usual with everything Bitcoin, there's a lot of FUD, and then it's just nothing burger.
Yeah, I mean, we might. Who knows? This day is early. This is what we call FUD Friday. They might come up with something. I know someone named King of the Trolls was on. He was on CNBC or I don't know, one of those shows today, talking about Bcash that was supposed to happen. Who knows? So wait. So do you think maybe next week we can see this again? We could have another 4,000. That's what I want to ask the panel here. Are we really on some S curve? Or are we just going straight up hockey stick? Could we see Could we see 20,000 next week? I don't like to get people too excited, but this is the holiday season, as they say, and maybe there's going to be a gift again for the rest of the year. I mean, I think Richard Hart wanted 20,000 by Christmas time. Do you think that is possible, Rodolfo? And then the rest of the
very possible.
Wow,
it's very possible because. The way I like to say it is, if we have half of the world's population using Bitcoin and everybody's trying to use $1 at the same time, it already supports a price of Bitcoin over $100,000, right? And then you get all the gold bugs, moving all their wealth. We already heard from some major gold bug asset holding companies that they are moving a lot of their capital to Bitcoin too. So you have the holders, you have the transaction people. It's too much wealth in Bitcoin not to hold a price that is at least a few $100,000. It's just basic math.
I think Sunday is going to be a big day. I think Sunday is going to be a big day because when they open the futures trading, it's on the 10th, right? Which is Saturday or Sunday. When is it?
The 10th is Sunday. Yeah.
So when they open the futures on Sunday, I think it's going to be a big day. It's going to set the stage for the movement that we can expect next week.
All right. Ansel, what how about you? What are we going to hit 20K? Are we going to, is there anything bad on the horizon? I mean, Coinbase slowed down massively the other day. I mean, there could be panics, something could break. I don't know. I'm trying to keep a level head here. I'm happy where it is. I mean, it was $10,000, 15. It's shocking.
Well, the name of the game is accumulation. And I think that, we could be heading into some majorly volatile times, but traders love volatility, right? That's where they make their money. And holders, a lot of these traders, I lurk in several Bitcoin trading communities, and a lot of them are holders that are trying to just add to their stash of Bitcoin, like good holders do. And so I think that as this volatility increases here in the next couple months, maybe, that these traders are just going to be sucking more and more Bitcoin off of the market, and it's just going to drive the price up more and more. So I'm not worried about any sort of major extended correction. I do think that we're going to go in spurts, just like volatility works. We could be at 20,000 next week, and then next Sunday, and then Monday, when the CME opens, it could be down at 15 or 10,000.
All right. This is a good. I got a question here for Rand. you follow the altcoins. Obviously, you guys got to watch the show. First of all, pound that like button if you love these guests. I love these guests, and it's great that I finally got Rodolfo and Ran on the show. I mean, it's always great to have Ansel on, of course, too. But there have been the Bitcoin dominance has gone up considerably. Clearly, there are some altcoin people who are just thrown in the towel here. Do you see more of a Bitcoin dominance? Do you see that continuing throughout soon, next week, the week after? And are there any altcoins that are piquing your interest or that people in South Africa are talking about, or is it all Bitcoin?
So look, I must say, I don't really listen too much to the South African market. I mean, the show is produced in South Africa. Ironically, the show is watched out of South Africa much more than it's watched in South Africa. So I'm not going to call it for the next week or two, because I mean, to call the Bitcoin dominance for the next week or two is just silly. But I think if you look at it 12 months from now, the Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion, cannot remain anywhere near 50%. And I have a very good backing for that. If we take a look at the technology, which is blockchain technology, and we use all the different use cases of blockchain, we have Bitcoin, which has one and maybe arguably two use cases, one being a store of value, two being a programmable digital asset, and three maybe being a currency, if you want to insult it. It's certainly not a currency at this stage. But when you take those three use cases and you combine them, and you put those against all the use cases that are being built around things like Ethereum, et cetera, it doesn't make sense that one player is going to maintain a 50% plus market dominance. It just wouldn't make sense. It would be like being at the beginning of the internet and saying that AOL would maintain an internet dominance of 50% plus. It's simply not logical. That said, I'm not sure that the dominance will decrease because the Bitcoin price decreases. I just think that there'll be more investment into the space, particularly into other altcoins, and that will drive the Bitcoin dominance down, but the total market cap up.
All right, you've hit one there. Let's see, Rodolfo, what do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about that?
To me, the current bull run, it's all based on the organic increase in it's just interest in Bitcoin. You know, you always have the snowballs where, you know, the price goes up just a tiny little bit because we have like actual use, or there's things going on in Bitcoin that are unrelated to mainstream sort of media. And then, you know, you have a tick on that, and then you have more interest. And then a few more people who are not in the sort of inner circle of Bitcoin start getting the news out there, and boom, snowballs. I mean, Trace Mayer just posted, just tweeted the line of interest on, I think it's We Are Bitcoin, or whatever the site that he has for Bitcoin information, and it's beautiful. It tracks perfectly the interest, including the little down that we had today. Like it's just like this is just adoption. You know, we have an asset that is better than anything else for you to store your value, and people are just starting to get in. We're gonna see these fluctuations like that.
But do you
what's the website called? What is that website?
Well, he's got Bitcoin Knowledge is Trace Mayer's. Is that
there is one more? No, he has another one. I forget the name now.
Yeah,
it's
it's like the Mayer Index or something like
that. We are Bitcoins or something like that.
Well, go to Twitter.
We use Bitcoin or something like that.
Yeah, I will link to it below the show. I will find it. It's linked to his Twitter account, no doubt about it.
Oh, there you go. We use coins.
It's we use coins in short.
You know, a huge plug to that site. He does a much better job than Bitcoin.com at spreading the word.
It's weusecoins.com. It's okay. Well, I'll make sure. But with what Rand said, Rand thinks that there's, you know, in a year's time, there might be a coin might join Bitcoin up there, not as the number one, but cut down on the dominance seriously. Do you think Bcash and Ethereum are going to wreak havoc again, or
I don't think it's going to be Bcash and Ethereum. I think it's going to be a combination of a lot of good altcoins.
I completely disagree.
Okay, that's what
I think you know, this is the beautiful of like store of values. It's kind of a winner takes all. You know, you have gold, and then you see all the other metals, right? Sort of, it's just that markets don't like to spread the risk, which is very weird, but they don't. So they find one thing, and that one thing has the compounding effect, right? And that's where you try to make your money. And then everything else just trails down at least 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 below that. I really think that Bitcoin is going to have this dominance for a long time. Is that forever? I don't know. But with all the stuff that's coming to Bitcoin, there's not going to be a reason for half of these altcoins to exist anymore. You know, we have Lightning Network, we have Square Signatures, there's a Segwit. Like, there's so much stuff in Bitcoin. We could be having double the throughput right now if miners were mining 2 megabyte blocks, which are totally part of Segwit. But point is, Bitcoin has so much to offer in the next year that is actually, I'm actually extra bearish on alts. I mean, look at what happened to Ethereum. I mean, cats took it down. You know, like, do you want bad tech? You know, a silly kitty game took a whole freaking blockchain down of the, you know, third or whatever is now the biggest.
But the number of transactions in the Ethereum network when the Ethereum network went down was much higher than the number of transactions in the Bitcoin network.
It's mostly spam, but it's just silly apps transacting with each other and not generating any value or doing anything. I mean, I'm pressed. Listen, I've been in Bitcoin for a long time. I made so many products for Bitcoin. I'm pressed to know anybody making anything for Ethereum, aside from just trying to sell to Ethereum holders. There's just nothing out there for Ethereum. It's like, it's truly fascinating to me that that people put so much time into that thing.
All right, Ansel, you've got something to say about Bitcoin dominance in a year from now and these altcoins. What's going on with you?
Well, I've ranted about blockchain for a long time. We've heard this blockchain narrative for a very long time, and we have yet to see anything that's really come to fruition. I don't see what's going to be. I mean, it's going to be harder over the next year than it was last year, because you had it was the hype. So this next year, when Bitcoin is all the hype, it's going to be even harder to get traction on any sort of blockchain thing. But remember, blockchain it's a one piece of Bitcoin, and it was created to solve a very specific problem. It wasn't created to have land registry. It wasn't created to have all these physical representations of things, or digital representations of physical items. So a lot of these projects are all theoretical, and they sound really good. They get lots of money from funders, but we have yet to see anything of substance. And also, I wouldn't compare Bitcoin to AOL. I would compare Bitcoin to HTTP. So there is really room for one, and at the protocol level, and I think that's going to be Bitcoin. Now, RSK is a completely different story. You know, you have rootstock that's going to be Ethereum type stuff on layer 2, and I can see maybe some derivatives there taking off. But will you count that against Bitcoin's dominance index? I don't know. This kind of market cap is a little bit fuzzy way to measure these things.
Yeah, I mean, it can be manipulated, definitely. When we get some more Bitcoin crypto dividends too, that will dilute the dominance. But I think what Rand is saying is, I mean, he's saying that there will be some coin, a combination of top coins that will become more popular than they currently are. And
I agree.
I mean, I mean, I still think Bitcoin's price is, and he said Bitcoin's price will still go up. Rand, are there people love the crowd out there loves when people name names, name a name of an altcoin that you like, Rand. This is not Adam speaking. This is Rand.
I'm very scared. I'm very scared to name names of altcoins. Look, one that excites me, but I'm not a big fan of. One that has had a run, but I'm not a very big fan of, is IOTA. Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a huge fan. I bought IOTA very early. I sold IOTA at about $1. It seems I made a very big mistake. But you know, if they are doing what they claim they are doing, and their technology can do what their technology claims that their technology can do, then they may have something. Now, my personal belief is that the market price has no correlation to the technology whatsoever. But I'm not. But I do believe that someone somewhere is going to create something. Another one which I've got my eye on is Cardano ADA, it's had a great run. I mean, we bought them for our fund at 2.5 cents. I think today they're trading at about 10 or 11 cents. That's another one which I'm quite bullish on. And unlike the other guys, I do believe that there are a lot of people that are doing a lot of great things on Ethereum. I think Ethereum has its own problems. I think scalability is the major problem that Ethereum has. But Ethereum, I was at DevCon. There were 2,000 or 2,500 of the smartest people I'd ever met, all working on Ethereum-related applications.
Well, now I want to say something real quick about those two that you mentioned, because I've been mentioning those two. You probably know, I just got back from South Korea, and those two specifically, Cardano and IOTA, are being pumped. They're being pumped by exchanges in Korea. People are just piling into them. So you ask the question, can they do what they say they can do? The price is going up because people are just, they don't. I don't think it matters. Yeah, I mean, it's just the latest. It's the latest thing of it. I'm very suspicious of IOTA because that is the only coin I've ever read about on social media where people were ripping onto it for having a built-in problem. I mean, it was some of the stuff that was being talked about. I can't believe people are piling into it now, and it's mostly South Koreans who don't understand English, who don't hear people ripping about it, and then it just creates a worldwide cycle. Now, it's got a lot of potential. They all have a lot of potential. Many
scams do, right? I mean, scams make people a lot of money. A lot of people lose money too. It's
if you know the Tangle protocol or how the Tangle protocol is supposed to work, if it does work, it does eliminate the need for miners, and it's quite a good.
I don't buy that.
Well, again, like I said, I'm not sure that the market price and this recent run on IOTA has anything to do with the technology whatsoever.
How about this? I'll make a prediction. Their protocol won't work.
It won't work.
Won't work.
Ansel,
what about EOS?
How about that? Doesn't work either.
Rand is bringing a whole new side to this show. These are all the ones that people always ask me about, but I'm like, we got Bitcoin, buy and hold. I start yelling, but no, we got Rand on the show, and this is what the people want to hear from now. So, Ansel, what do you think about all this?
I think IOTA would be better as a side chain to Bitcoin or as, some sort of layer 2. Why not get the network effects of Bitcoin? Why start from the beginning? So all of these ideas, they could be great, but if they are great, they would be better with Bitcoin. And so I don't know, this IOTA, EOS, they will definitely pump. They will definitely pump. And it's very hard to time the tops. So good luck. Accumulate more Bitcoin.
As an investment, I'm sure people can make money on them, but as technology, I don't think they're going anywhere. It's I don't know a single serious developer that has any interest in working on any of this stuff.
Yeah, Rand is the crypto trader, baby. Though he knows it. You better believe it. The South Koreans are pumping this like mad. You got to go to South Korea, Rand. You got to.
Let's separate the discussion actually into two discussions. The first discussion is a technology discussion, and the second discussion is a market price discussion. And we should put them into different rooms because they are unrelated. There is no correlation today between the technology and the price, except in my mind for two: Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're the only two where I can say that there may be a correlation between the technology and the price. For all the other ones, everything is driven by greed and speculation and money coming in and trying to make much more money to make the same returns that people got on Bitcoin, people who bought in 08, 09, 2010, and they're doing it. They think they've missed the run in Bitcoin. And so what they're doing is they're trying to find the next Bitcoin by investing in an altcoin.
I don't disagree. Like it's pretty fair. Bitcoin is fulfilling its promise, right? It created a system for you to transact without censorship. That was that was it. He was not meant to buy coffee. He was not meant to, you know, put real estate on the blockchain. It was, here's a store of value. You put your value in it. You can send it to whoever you want. Nobody can stop you. And that's, to me, why the Bitcoin price is so high. You're doing what you claim you were doing. Now,
not really. I mean, Bitcoin claimed to be a peer-to-peer electronic cash system.
That's a misinterpretation, I think, of the paper. See, the Bitcoin was invented so that we don't have to use the current banking system. It was not to buy coffee. So when talking about cash, he's just talking about the fact that like cash is sort of ideally untraceable, right? So it's just a store of value that you get to transact with people, but you can't have that, you know, for free. It costs a lot of money to protect a network that is so decentralized and so uncensorable. Now, if miners got off their ass, you know, we would have a lot cheaper transactions. But, you know, we're essentially just captured by miners right now. Thankfully, there's new ASICs coming along that will make Bitcoin transactions cheaper by having more miners willing to mine 2x transactions. Sorry, 2 megabyte blocks, which do already exist.
Ansel. Sorry.
Do you need a peer-to-peer electronic cash system?
Well, see, you're not defining cash. Like, do you need a peer-to-peer way of transacting value? Yes. If you're saying cash as a you know, as a buck, probably not. See, probably not. Lightning Network solves the problem. You can use Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin and buy coffee as to your heart's desire.
Lightning Network is a technical netting solution which won't really solve me buying a cup of coffee.
It literally solves your problem. As soon as companies get this stuff, well, there is already a few now, but as soon as you get more adoption on this, listen, let me go back a little bit. Okay, so for example, Bitcoin used to be very hard to use before a hierarchical deterministic wallets. Right, so you couldn't, like, you had to put everything in the same one address for every private key. It was really hard for privacy, hard for everything. It took companies years to adopt hierarchical deterministic. I think blockchain.info took like 5 years to do that. I know this because I was the first scaled BIP32 wallet in the market, and that thing changed a lot of things. Now, P2SH. So pay to script and multisig, right? That was there in the technical merits for a long time. It took companies years to adopt, but then when it was adopted, it changed everything. So Lightning Network, SegWit are two technologies that solve a lot of the problems that everybody's crying about right now. They just need time to get rolled out to most wallets, but SegWit transactions cost like not even pennies for you to transact. And you know, if you download the Electrum today, you can make your penny transaction. It's just a matter of adoption. Bitcoin is cheap and it's fulfilling its promise.
Yeah, I agree with you that Bitcoin is fulfilling its promise. I do wait to see whether the Lightning Network will solve. I know it solves scalability. I don't know if it solves it to the extent that you can use Bitcoin instead of fiat.
No, I mean, I agree with you on that. I mean, listen, I live in North America, right? Here, American Express gives me much better like points and cheaper transactions than Bitcoin will ever do because it's a centralized system, right? But in Canada, credit cards are cheap. Now, when I want to receive money, though, for my open dimes that we sell worldwide, I want to receive in Bitcoin because now I can sell my open dimes to people in Kurdistan because my credit card processor in Canada does not accept credit cards from Kurdistan. We ship there.
Yes.
I ship to every single like place on earth because of Bitcoin.
Rodolfo, what are you holding in your hand?
Yeah. Talk about that. This is very important. You've got a very interesting product there.
So we've been creating things like products for Bitcoin for many years, and our goal was always how can we bring Bitcoin to people who are not programmers, right? And we created the first Bitcoin debit card, the first Bitcoin payment terminal. We created a lot of the firsts in this market. And one thing we learned from all those through these years is that Bitcoin wants to be disintermediated. It hates central middlemen, right? So when we were playing around trying to create our next sort of like Bitcoin hardware wallet for consumers, we were thinking, so how can I make this into something that is a bearer bond, meaning whoever holds the item is the owner of it, in the same spirit as Bitcoin, but physically. We created this thing called OpenDime. It's a little disposable Bitcoin wallet that we can provably, cryptographically prove to you that the Bitcoins are here in a private key that we do not know, because you stick this in your computer, you put in some extra files in there just for entropy, and we can prove that to you. And then the beautiful thing is, once you deposit Bitcoin in this thing, you can give this to somebody else's payment without waiting for transactions to validate, without paying another fee, and they can pass on to somebody else. The difference between this and a paper wallet is that a paper wallet, whoever created the paper wallet knows the private key. So if they give you a paper wallet, you can take the money back once they get home or whatever, right? Like, because we know the private key is being compromised. With this, nobody knows the private key. So you pass on to somebody, they can pass on to somebody else, and to somebody else, and to somebody else, effectively working like fiat. But it is backed by Bitcoin because there is a Bitcoin in there. Now, let's say you had 3 of them, each one has 1 Bitcoin, and you want to buy a car, and now you receive this from somebody. You receive 3, each one has a Bitcoin in. You want to buy a car that only costs 2 Bitcoins, so you give to the guy, here's your 2 Bitcoins, he takes it, he gives you the car, great. Now let's say you want to buy a computer online with your 3rd one. You get a push pin like this. You stick it on the back, and you push it in, and it unseals the OpenDime. Now, the next time you plug it into the computer, our chip checks that it was unsealed or not, and it reveals the private key to you. And then all you have to do is sweep that on your favorite wallet and send it as a payment to somebody online.
This is a very unique tool, a unique product. Vortex was actually telling me about it the other day. I'm glad you brought this up. I mean, this is, who knows? We could change the world. I love it. Pound that like button, people. And remember, check these guys out at Twitter. They're always tweeting. The links are below. I'm at TechBalt, TechBalt on Twitter. Ansel, you have been quiet for a while because these guys are going back and forth. You surely have something to say about everything that was the exchange they just had over the last 10 minutes or so.
Oh, well, it's awesome to hear what these guys have to say. And I mean, they're both on opposing sides of this argument. So I think I fall more on Rodolfo's side, obviously. But I think that this peer-to-peer cash or electronic cash, if it was really needed, then there would be a lot more push towards Lightning Network. I mean, Lightning is the answer. So if there was all this pain out there felt by all these users, don't you think that there would be like thousands of developers working on it right now, getting it to market right now? I just don't, honestly, I don't think it's that big of a problem. Look at the price. The price is going up. People are happy storing their value. When there is a pain point, then we will go to Lightning. And another point about this is that all these people that have been spamming the network over the last couple years, all they've done is seal their fate because they have pushed us towards Lightning faster. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Very, very good. We get into these debates a lot here in the crypto space. It's good. Coffee's going to keep coming up. Yes, Rand, what were you going to say?
I'm going to poke you all. I want an answer from all of you. Bitcoin Cash. You all got Bitcoin Cash. I'm assuming because you all claim to be Bitcoin holders. How many of you are still holding? How many of you are still holding your Bitcoin Cash?
Dumped it all.
Adam?
I have some of it left, actually. I have some left. I got rid of some, but I do have some also, because it's just it's hard to get rid of when you have a considerable amount.
Yeah, I have some little fractions on, like, you know, my phone wallet and things like that, but I've dumped the majority.
Okay, what about Bitcoin Gold?
I have all my Bitcoin gold. Gold. I have all my Bitcoin.
I don't think you can dump it, right? Because the client doesn't work, or the blockchain. Like, sorry, I don't follow alts.
Yeah, and they are altcoins. Remember that. So, Rand, why are you asking these? What point are you getting at here? I'm very curious.
I just wanted to understand, you know, whether you guys how opposed to Bitcoin Cash you guys are.
Well, see, that doesn't answer that question. That just, I mean, because there's logistical things about getting rid of it too. I mean, and then
you give away your privacy to dump this these things could all might as well be honeypots. You have to expose, you know, anybody who, you know, cares about their privacy should not be dumping their Bitcoin Cash. You just ignore it, and, you know, whatever, you don't make your 10% or your 5% on it. It's garbage anyways. If there was any serious interest in this stuff, you would not have been a contentious fork. When you have 96% of the nodes running core, you know, it's not even a question, right? If the market wants this stuff. I mean, Bitcoin Cash just happens to have a bit of value because it's a fork of Bitcoin, and it was essentially airdropped to every Bitcoiner to dump it. I mean, that's the only reason. There is no technical advancement there. They actually are printing Bitcoin Cash like there's no tomorrow. Their inflation rate is like out of the wazoo, because they keep on having to fix the EDA. They keep on having EDAs, emergency difficulty adjustments, because it's all broken. Even their own miners rather mine Bitcoin because Bitcoin makes them more money. It's a silly games. It's all fun and welcome, you know. Like it makes Bitcoin more interesting.
It's gonna pump again though too. I mean, it's highly manipulated, it's highly centralized, and we've been through this before. I mean, it's interesting, Rand. You have a different perspective on Bcash, and I think being where you are, it gives you more of a. I notice people from South Africa have an open mind to Bcash. I mean, Lorian, Gamroff, obviously, and to each their own. Here in North America, there is so much. There's a lot of dislike toward Bcash, but as you move further away from North America, it seems like there are more and more people willing to give it a chance. Bitcoin is king, people. That's the bottom line. I'm not gonna go on a Bcash rant or anything like that. I think.
I must say, I think Bitcoin has fulfilled on its promise, and I don't think anyone can dispute that. But I think that we mustn't discount that there may be other players in the market that are going to fulfill other needs. And I mean, since we all got Bitcoin Cash almost for free, I mean, I think those of us that held it, and I must be honest, when it did go down to $300 and $400, I bought a whole lot more, and I've made a fantastic return out of it.
Oh, I'm not denying that people can make money on it. So the issue that I have is the whole game theory on this, because just technically speaking, you have another coin that has exactly the same mining algorithm as Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
So as the Bitcoin price increases, you make more money mining Bitcoin. So
yes, unless
so you keep on, yeah. So they keep on having EDAs to fix that problem, but that's not a long-term strategy. Like you can't have that. Like eventually it just breaks, because you're gonna end up printing all the coins you have. You have no transactions. I mean, it's crickets on Bitcoin Cash's blockchain. Like the mempool is like empty. I think it's just Ver paying his bills on it, but that's it. I mean, you just can't compete. You know, maybe if they went, you know, the Bitcoin Gold, the big gold coin, at least they're trying to do something, right? I mean, their interest is to change the proof of work, you know, and all that stuff. There is some technical merit to their endeavor. I mean, aside, I don't know the project, I don't endorse it, I have no idea what they're doing, but but at least it seems that way. Now, you know, just forking Bitcoin because, you know, you don't like the leadership, you're most definitely entitled to do so. But you know, it's at the expense of your own wallet.
Hey man, free crypto dividends, free crypto dividends. We like getting these free coins, and then you can do what you want. You can dump. I say dump it for more Bitcoin. As much Bitcoin as you can get from these things, do what you're going to do. But hey, some people are going to hold. Ran, you're about to say something.
No, I think it's. I agree with you. I think it's free dividends, and you must decide what you want to do then.
Now, but before,
can I jump in here real fast?
Yeah, please. I was going to say, yeah, Ansel.
Yeah. I mean, if you take the politics out of it and you just look at the transactions on the blockchain, the last 7 days, Bcash has averaged 167 transactions per block. So that just goes to show that there is no real transactional demand in Bitcoin. The demand is for store value. It's for price increases. And down the road, when that demand is real, then we'll see things like Bcash get more successful or layer 2. But you know, Bcash is trying to paddle up river. There's just no demand for them. They're not going with the current. They're going against the current. So, yeah.
Very, and I mean, and they're going to have competitors. Dash is going to compete with them, and Litecoin, obviously. I mean, it will be interesting if people do need a daily cash transactional cryptocurrency. We shall see.
And we have very good coins for that. I mean, aside from Lightning Network. You know, I've always been a big believer that Litecoin fulfills that promise. It has faster blocks. You know, it's great for small transactions. And you have Monero. Monero doesn't even try to be a store of value. You know, they print money. But it's at least like we understand what their goal is, right? Fluffy, you know, like he's trying to make something that is private and it works as a medium of transaction. That's great. I mean, like you look at all the dark markets use Monero. They don't use Bitcoin anymore. But the way I like to put it is like this. If you had to store all your wealth in one crypto for the next 5 years and you could not touch it, which one would you put it in and go back to sleep?
I think the answer is obvious. The answer is obvious.
I'd put my money into BitConnect.
You know, unfortunately, 80% of the people out there might say that. There's so many newbies who get sucked into things like that. It's really unfortunate. But obviously, Bitcoin is the gold. Gold and hold, people. Yeah, Bitcoin's my answer there.
I asked Isabella Kaminska from Financial Times. I asked her that similar question to bring this back to like a global asset class discussion. I asked her which you would rather, this was last year. I asked her which you'd rather hold for the next, I think I said 10 years, Bitcoin or London real estate, because she was all bragging about how her London real estate had been doing really well. So yeah, I think that if you look at all these asset classes, I mean, Bitcoin is what you want to hold. Are you going to hold like treasury bonds from any country in the world at a max, what, like 10%, I think? Even Italy and Spain that are having all these problems, they're still under 10% for their bonds. So would you be holding that or be holding Bitcoin? And I think everybody is going to be flooding into Bitcoin big time over the next 12 months for sure.
Yeah, value your wealth in Bitcoin. That is what I say. And yeah, I'd rather have Bitcoin than London real estate also. And I'm living it. I just don't talk the talk. I walk the walk. I mean, most of my wealth is in Bitcoin by far now, especially because the price has gone up so much. You know, I want to. There's two things I got to say real quick. Because two guys gave super chats, and we're hitting almost on the hour here. But So yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. Eric Hadley said, "I'm planning to develop on EOS to create services like Steemit, despite not fully buying proof of stake as a consensus mechanism. It's an experiment." Okay, Eric, thank you for that statement. Good luck with your EOS, and thank you for the 5 on super chat. And then one other, Baggio gave £2 on super chat, and he said that the CME could postpone the futures launch. Has anyone heard about that, or is that just FUD that's floating around?
I think it's FUD because I think the CBOE is launching on Saturday or on the 10th.
Yeah.
So I doubt that the CME would postpone. they've already been beaten to it because they were first to market, and they came back and they were first to market in terms of announcement, but not first to market in terms of execution. So I doubt that they would launch it, but I haven't heard anything.
All right,
There was a story yesterday about some of the Wall Street banks, you know, Goldman and JP Morgan and stuff, and they filed a formal complaint with, I think it was the CFTC, about these about CME specifically. So that could be residual FUD from that, but I don't think that's going to be called off or anything.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything credible yet.
Yeah. Be careful out there. There's so many rumors, people, but people like to create these things to create FUD, and it doesn't work. I mean, you just got to be patient. Most things end up being crazy conspiracy theories. You know, what was last week? There was supposed to be some, like, over the weekend Firebird or something crazy was supposed to happen. A big plan to take down Bitcoin. It was totally ludicrous. But you're gonna hear more and more of this stuff. There are a lot of Bitcoin haters out there that missed out. That create all sorts of interesting fantasy stories. But I do thank you for Baggio for the £2. I want to ask everyone real quick. There's been like a meme, a theme that's been going around the last couple of days of long-term Bitcoin holders kind of expressing regret. I am not a person of regret. You can't regret anything. What's done is done. You got to move to the future. But some guys are talking about how they didn't do the right thing in the past, and now they're not Bitcoin millionaires, and they should be. And you know, you can reevaluate, you can evaluate what you did in the past, but again, you can become a Bitcoin millionaire still. So there's some guys from 2013, like me, who have not become Bitcoin millionaires and are putting out kind of it's a melancholy type of post. What do you guys think about this? I'm not. Do you guys have regrets? And is there a point in having regrets? You know, not everyone learns from their mistakes. That's what I think's going on. Ansel, what do you think? I think you know what I'm talking about.
I don't have any regrets. I don't know anybody that bought Bitcoin that has regrets. So I think there's two levels to holding. Level one is holding on a dip, you know, like say a 40 or 50% correction. And then level two is holding on a spike, a 500% spike. If you can hold in a 500% spike or even 1,000% spike, you're a master Bitcoin holder at that point.
Strong hand. Okay, how about you, Rand? Have you been hearing about people saying, "Oh, I wish I would have held on the more. I'd be a billionaire now"?
What do you mean? I'm putting up my hand and I'm saying that I do have those regrets.
Oh.
I have three regrets. I think my first regret is that I had a whole lot of Bitcoin and that I sold them on the way up, which obviously in hindsight is probably the worst thing that I could have done. The second thing that I did was I cashed in Bitcoins to buy some ICOs in the ICO hype. And never will those ICOs be at the same price as those Bitcoins. I'll give you one story. I cashed in 25 Bitcoins at $4,000 US to buy $100,000 of an ICO, which I bought. The 25 Bitcoins today are worth, work it out, 25 times whatever the current price is, 14, 15,000. And the ICO is still trading at $100,000.
Yeah, so you missed out on. Yeah, that's why I say, people, buy and hold on to that Bitcoin. Okay, Rodolfo, you have been around a real long time, and how about you? Do you think people should be regretting, or just should be like, okay, I didn't know back then, now I know. Now I know to hold. Do you have any regrets yourself?
I mean, no regrets. You know, we all won, lost again. You know, it's all part of the game. You know, it was all part of also making Bitcoin discover its price. But I think that's hindsight is easy. The main thing is, I think this is we're still in 1985 here. You know, there's like we haven't even gotten like to even a smidge of Bitcoin like actual like mainstream adoption. You know, if there is 10 million people holding Bitcoin today, it's probably too much. I think you know, it's still early. People can still, you don't have to buy, you know, insane alts to try to find some returns. You know, I'm not saying go buy Bitcoin, mortgage your house to get, you know, stuff. Don't make crazy investments. But, you know, it's still very early. You know, when people thought that Apple was worth, you know, $50, I think at the time, or $100, I can't remember at the time, you know, people said, you know, this is insane. This is crazy. Dump your Apple stock. You know, don't, like, you either understand Bitcoin, you understand its value proposition, you understand what we're trying to do here is not just build a, you know, like a means for people to just, you know, become millionaires overnight. You would understand that there is a lot more at stake here. We're all trying to sort of think, you know, 50 years from now, where you don't have to, you know, be a slave to a federal government, like changing the exchange rate, printing more money. That's the main goal. And if you believe that that's possible with Bitcoin technology, you don't care about today's price.
Well, I tweeted the other day that if Bitcoin were to repeat this year's price performance, it would have to trade at $250,000 at the end of next year.
That's awesome.
Yep.
But it could happen. You never know. You know, think 2020, people. 2020 having strong hand. Think long term here. Don't jump into these ICOs. Be very careful. Rand, that was a very good, honest story you told there, Randy. He's a host of a major show, and he's telling you like it is what happened to him. Don't let that happen to you. Sorry, continue.
I mean, we could even have a major sort of like remember when Bitcoin dropped from 1,000 and it was just sort of winter for, you know, almost 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years of winter.
You know, and you know, the smart money bought more. You know, like always do the opposite.
Yeah, that was for me. Hey, I knew it was going to come back. I was stocking up then. It's hard for people, you know. It's easy to buy in a mania, it seems. It's hard to buy when everyone's saying it's dead, it's dead. And I think a lot of people are looking back, you know, they got in so early. People were in 2011. They're like, I wish I didn't pay my electric bill with this 10 Bitcoin. And I wish I would have been buying more in 2015 or whatever. So,
or buy alpaca socks.
Yeah, exactly. No
the most expensive socks I ever bought.
Don't have regrets, people. Don't. And so, yeah, there are some big names out there that are expressing their regrets now because, hey, it's like $15,000 instead of $150. It brings back a lot of memories for people who bought socks when it was $150. All right, let's conclude here. Let's everybody get their conclusionary remarks in. Ansel, do you have any stories to share? Any predictions? Any conclusionary things you want to add?
Not really. Just be prepared for volatility. And I did want to mention about on Twitter and stuff. There's lots of people that have been guilty of the FUD over the last 2 years. Lots of businesses as well. And never forget what we just lived through. Never forget who said what in the heat of the argument, and find those people that have been right for over a year, that have helped push this through, help push the user activated soft fork, helped push all of this stuff through. And those are the people that you want to be trusting and getting your information from. So yeah, Rodolfo was a huge central part of that effort. So thank you for what you did during that time. And those are my closing remarks.
Yeah. He's very right. Don't have a short memory, people. There are some major fudsters, major troublemakers out there who we can't forget who they were. There's people pushing the 2x, and I mean, people do have short memories. I think some are gonna forget, but I do the volatility point that you bring up. Yeah, guys, there's gonna be we went up 4,000 this week, but guess what? There will be a week in the future where we go down $4,000. It's just something you're gonna have to get used to. And just think long term. Think long term and have long memories also. Rand, what do you have to say? What do you have? Conclusionary remarks? Anything? Anything? Promote the show. Anything?
Hold on tight for the next 7 days. I think the next 7 days are going to be very telling. And I'm not calling a correction, but I wouldn't be surprised if we went back to levels of around $10,000. I think we went up from 10,000 to 18 and 19,000 and now 16,000 too quickly.
Well, I will say this. You tell me at the beginning of the year it was going to be at 10,000. I'd be jumping through windows and stuff, going wild. So, I mean, 10,000 is still huge. I know it's officially a correction if it drops to 10,000. But to me, I mean, Thanksgiving, we were around 8,000 to 9,000. So it's, hey, man, I just think, what's it going to be in 2020? What's it going to be in 2024? I know it will be more. But, yeah, guys, have strong hands, as Rand says. Rand, what are you on? Every Thursday night, every Thursday, you've got the show. Thursday.
Follow my Twitter at CryptoMan Rand. I post the shows before they go live.
Yeah, and I link to all their Twitters, so that's where you'll be able to get all these guys' links, and they are awesome. They are doing great jobs. And now Rodolfo, who I have wanted you on the show for a very long time, but I couldn't get a DM into you. I got your Twitter link to below. What are your conclusionary remarks? Any predictions? Anything else you want to promote? The floor is yours.
I guess two things. First is, people, stop looking for false gods and oracles. Like, do not listen to people. Educate yourself. The whole point of Bitcoin is for you to bank yourself. Go read the paper, learn about it, run your own node. That's the only way you're doing Bitcoin. Otherwise, you're just a sucker, and you will lose money. Okay? End of rant. Now, I guess the second thing is just, we're making our next product, for the fun of it. We're selling tens of thousands of this thing, shipping all over the world. It's a lot of fun to play with it. Use it for transactions. If you're going to use to HODL, unseal, and backup, please. Just be smart. Hold your Bitcoins in hardware devices and don't get robbed. Don't trust, verify.
That was a beautiful conclusion. Pound that like button, everyone. Be careful of those flavor of the week altcoin guru type of people out there. There are a lot of them, and they've got lots of times they're just trying to help themselves and, trick naive people. There's so much new. This is a new technology. You can make a lot of mistakes. Just think it all out. Think for yourself, everyone. I'm going to say stuff too. Don't blindly follow me. Don't blindly follow any of these guys. And I know they all agree not to blindly follow. That is very important. But there are people out there that want you to blindly follow, and just don't. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing the answer. Don't jump into something if you don't know that. Start researching it. This is just an amazing learning opportunity. Cryptocurrency is an amazing learning opportunity. I learn something every day. I learned from this show today. I always learn from these shows. We will be back next Friday with This Week in Bitcoin. Who knows what time it will be at. I do a show here every single day. I am Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Always check out the notes section below. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Talk to you later. Pound that like button. See ya.